Everyone, welcome to today's session. It's been a minute, right? Yes, it's been a minute. I was down with allergies, but I'm feeling much better. So, going through the RMF training, we have covered a lot, right? We've gone through all the different phases, starting from categorization of information system, selection of security controls, based on the impact level of low, moderate, or high. We also learn how to write implementation statement for the technical folks to be able to implement those controls. And then we also touch base on the assessment of security controls. So with that, I'll have to, let me share my screen and then go there. And if you are new to our channel, if you've not subscribed, now is your time for you to subscribe and also share this information with your friends and family, okay? So, and don't forget to comment, like, if we go here, okay, let me try and maximize this. So far, this is what we did. We categorized information system using NIST 860 volume 2. We selected security control using the NIST 853 revision 5. And these are all hands-on projects that our students are currently working on. And then we learn how to write implementation statement. And we are right here. So when you talk of assessment of security controls, you have roles like CSA, okay? SCA, Security Control Assessor, that's just an independent role, right? But you can work as a self-assessor for your organizations, or you can work for a staffing company where you guys go as external auditors or assessor to assess that organization's security posture system, okay, or information system. If you are working as a self-assessor, your role will be more like, maybe acting like a liaison or collaborating with different stakeholders to make sure you guys implement best security practice to make sure that you guys are managing your security risks, So your role would just be more of like in-house doing stuff, maybe even lead like the annual assessment. But if you were to work as an external auditors, where you all are coming to access, for example, USC's information system, then we have the NIST 853A. That's an assessor guide. That doesn't mean that if you work in-house, you cannot use this particular document. You can use this document to get your system ready. If you guys, maybe if you're preparing towards any certification, these are all best practices that you can use the document to prepare your organization information system, okay? But today we will touch base on one important document. Remember, we'll spend so much time, we'll talk about POEM and other documents. So one important document that the independent auditor or external auditor, one important document that they will need before they can even come to an organization network or infrastructure for them to even start assessing that organization security posture or information system. There's what we call security assessment plan. The other word, security assessment plan, like security assessment plan. That's a plan document, and I actually got this document off the FedRAMP Marketplace, and I've spent close to 2 hours tailoring it to fit our system. Our system name is TAMS, and our students, they are currently working on the system. Their current project right now, they are playing the role of like an ISO, external auditor, self-assessor, where they have developed their security policy. They are asking all the questions. They are writing the implementation statement. We are meeting on the 16th, where, just to do it like real life. So they will be interviewing each other and everybody is given a chance to talk. So you have your set of controls, you have already maybe develop your implementation statement, or better say, if you are going as an external auditor to assess the security posture of that organization, then you have gone through the pre-assessment phase where you first of all identify the control within scope. You have already requested all the artifacts, they've already sent like their artifacts, especially because they are doing a technical control. And then you have to come with a pre-assessment phase where you have to like put the kind of questions that you're going to be asking, what kind of artifact. Maybe you already review the artifact and then you have to test to make sure that it's working, right? And from there, so that's the assessment phase. And then after that, they'll come with the post-assessment phase where they have to document their findings, if possible, provide recommendation as to what we need to do. So I can't wait for them to have this live project coming on the 16th. But that notwithstanding, let's quickly go through a PowerPoint slide just to have an overview of what the SSP is all about, okay? First, what is a system security plan, SAP? A formal document prepared by a third-party assessor to outline how the FedRAMP security controls for a cloud system will be tested. And bear with me, because I mentioned FedRAMP, I got a template of FedRAMP. FedRAMP already have a lot and plenty of templates. It doesn't matter where you work. You can be working for a private organization. You can also get a FedRAMP marketplace document and tailor it to fit your organization need. And nowadays, tell me who is not in cloud? Everybody's going to cloud. And because we are focusing more on the NIST standard that's solely aligned with FISMA of FedRAMP. So it's important for me to also get a FedRAMP template to work with it that way you all can see, right? But what's the purpose of the SAP? First, to ensure cloud services meet FedRAMP security requirements before authorization. Then it also applies to 3PAOs, that's third-party organization. These are all terms. I just go to the federal marketplace. You should be able to read some of these, understand what it entails. The cloud service providers, as well as the AOs, authorizing official from agency or job. And then, so we will quickly go through some of the key section. I prepared this site based on the actual template I got from FedRAMP, okay, and we're going to see it shortly because I said I spent 2 hours developing it to fit our system needed term system. You guys will see it in real life, and this is something that our students, again, they're gonna like work on it in real life, okay. So first we have the introduction phase, which first and foremost is said it explain purpose of the SAP and who should use it. It also ensure that the system security plan is finalized before assessment. There's just no way an organization will come and start assessing your information system without you guys having your SSP in a draft format. You need to have a final copy of your SSP. I remember I had, based on the SSP video that we covered, we said that SSP is like the Bible of your system because it literally contains everything from the description of that system, the different stakeholders, the system architectural diagram, literally everything about the system. If the system is interfacing with other system, everything about the system, the type of database version or whatever thing that system does, your SSP literally has everything and all the security controls that goes to that system, as well as the implementation statement and narrative. So everything is being documented on your SSP. And that's why I said that before, they can even kind of want to also make sure that an SSP has been analyzed before the actual assessment can even start. For example, if the SSP isn't ready, testing cannot begin. It cannot, they can't even start testing the system. So I hope this is clear. Then we have the background session, which says that first it introduces FedRAMP and the need for independent assessment. Is also, we have a reference of the NIST 839 on the importance of assessor independence. And then good, for example, good student example, think of it like a refill in a football game must be impartial, right? So before going to assess the security posture of organization, that's why you want to get a company that there's no like any probability or conflict of interest. And that's why when you are going there, you're going there to perform a good job, because each time you do that, you are coming with the inherent risks for that information system. And that's why you see sometimes when we go to like the third-party vendor risks, well, they make sure that most of those companies are being certified by the American Institute of Public Accounting, because if you're going there, you cannot have any form of relationship with the client. That way you can even come up with some form of bias. So that's why this is really important. Section 3 talk of first describe what is being tested. For example, the system name FedRAMP package, ID, location, addresses, type of assessment. Is it an initial assessment? Is it an annual assessment? Or is it or maybe a significant change that has occurred? And because this is a new system that our students are working on, so we actually kept it at the level of initial assessment, right? So say we're going with that particular company. If we go through the initial assessment, next time when they are coming with that same information system, right? It can be an annual assessment, or if a change has occurred, then they can come. So those are the difference, right? But again, you can get the document from Federal Marketplace and take a look, okay? For example, always confirming if it's a full system or change only. So those are some of the things that before even coming, they need to discuss to know. Then the fourth section talk of assumptions. We said agreement made between the cloud service provider and the independent assessor, e.g. system won't change during the testing. So give us the assurance that we are coming to test your system, no change will occur. As a matter of fact, in one of my roles as a risk and compliance manager, that role, when I was leading the annual assessment, we even, because we were big, it was more of a software development company, so they were developing code. At that point, they have to freeze everything. Like we cannot deploy, everything was put on a hold. And then once we're done with their assessment, produce their report, and then we resume our activities. And that's why, so once they are there, do everything they do, you cannot change anything within the system, okay? It also highlights responsibility for documentation, access, and support. Then the methodology aspect, which is a section 5, how the testing will be performed. For example, control testing, data gathering, sampling, penetration testing. Link back to the NIST 853A as we have discussed. But as I said, since I have tailored the document, we will go there and just take a look, okay? Section 6, assessment team members, senior, junior, pen tester, whosoever will be working on that system, you have a section that they have to document their name, their titles, and everything, right? So everything should be there. And likewise, if they are coming and they'll be interview our team who is in charge, you guys also need to make sure that all the contact or POC have been documented. And they also need to list what kind of tools or testing tools they will be using, being automated or manual. So anything that they will be doing for that system needs to be documented. And then schedule for assessment activities, what kind of activities, like the different time, they plan on doing, all those things, everything is also being documented. Why section 7 talk of rules of engagement? By now, we know what rules of engagement is all about, right? It defines what is allowed or not allowed during testing. We include, for example, maybe do they want to do SQL injection, vulnerability, application-related vulnerability, or do they want to scan ports to see if you guys have some open port within your system? Will not include, for example, they will say denial of service attack, modifying files. So you just have to tell us what exactly they will be doing or what they will do, right? Emphasizes safe and controlled testing. Again, as I said, we will take a look shortly. Section 8, we talk about agreement from both parties and the independent assessor before they could proceed. And then, for example, like signing a contract before starting a work. Before you start your work, you have to agree, you have to go through all those policies. You have to sign when they receive your laptop or PC. So same principle applies here. Then we have the different appendixes. You have Appendix A, which listed all the security controls. B, talk about the sampling methodology. C, penetration testing. And D, significant changes. So with this, let's go to our so why the SAP is important? First, to ensure transparency, consistency, and security. From the basis of the security assessment report. After this document, this is the next document we're going to discuss, very important. Remember, the name of this one is SAP, Security Assessment Plan. Then you have Security Assessment Report. That's a report after they've conducted their testing, then their findings is going to come up into this report. That's why they talk of security assessment. They have assessed the assessment, and they are giving the report, right? That's where we'll be able to see the findings, if there are any medication items that needs attention, but that's a report that will be given after the assistant. But that doesn't mean that when you work as a self-assessor, you all are not performing something like this. You guys can still be scanning, you can be mitigating your risks and all those things. Maybe in you hear for some private sector, you of like risk registrar, all those things is literally the same. It's just documented whatever risks that you guys have, or open risks that you guys have that could lead to an impact level, a potential impact level. Without it, assessment could be misaligned or incomplete. So do you see? So that's why it's important for organizations to have this dot. Okay. So with that, so if you come to the FedRAMP marketplace, they just updated, because last time I came, I think you will find resources. Now there's no resources there. So when you come here, you can just go to document and templates and just take some time to visit these. And then I'll try to get a document in PDF or Word document. I don't want it in Excel, right? And then I'll just put SAP, I type, once I type SAP, do you see? This is it here. FedRAMP Security Assessment Plan template. And this is the same template that I've just downloaded, and I was able to tell it to fit our system need, okay? And the name of our system is TAMS. So when I open here, I'm just going to go there, that way you all can see it. For example, I actually maintain it that way you guys can see that it's coming from FedRAMP Marketplace. I can still tell her this, put our logo, change the color, and then for us to own it, because it's a free document, it's out there. So we can just, take it, play around with it, right? So if we go to the same session, I don't even need to download it. Let me just download it. Let's do some form of comparison right here. All right. So if you see here, right, it tells you FedRAMP Security Assessment Plan, SAP. They say for cloud service provider name, and then you have to put the name of the company, the client, the person that they are actually assessing. And that's why if you see here, I put Unlimited Skies Tech LLC, and then training and management system. This is the name of the system, right? And then version, we put version 1, assessment type, initial assessment prepared by, do we have it here? Prepared by, this is the company that is coming to assess. Also, we, at this point, we are the cloud service provider, right? We want to go through the FedRAMP process certification, and we have a product that we want to be in compliance with FedRAMP. And the cost of doing so, we'll be going with this external company, known as Cyber Assurance Solution LLC, right? And then if you come here, do you see you have the table of content? That's a revision history, sorry, not table of content. With a revision history, if you look at what they have here, this is something that you can still do in real life, right? Depending on where you work, you can take this document, tailor it to fit your organization needs. So once you have it there, do you see it? But me, because this is an initial template, right? And that's why I put, again, if you look at it, this date are all recent. I put the first one, 0.1. This was an initial aspect, initial draft created for internal review. authored by these folks. Again, this document is being produced by the external auditors, right? The company, not us, because they have to bring the document. They are coming to assess our security posture, our information system. But that doesn't mean that they will not be in collaboration with us to be able to understand our system needs, to be able to document or put in within scope the things that they will be doing. So communications like that will definitely go on, okay? And then you also have, for example, on the 9th, we incorporated USC architectural diagram and component inventory. And then again, on the 10th, added methodology section assembly strategy. And then why on the 11th, this was finalized to be delivered to the CSP. So they were able to finalize it and then to be able to deliver it to us, UST, for us to also take a look and then to sign it, right? And that's why it's important, because when they will do it, we need to make sure, okay, everything looks good, then we can accept. Remember, we'll talk of rule of engagement. And then when we come to the next part now, it's a prepared by, do you see? Prepared by who? Cyber Assurance Solution, LSC. We need to put a street name. We have to put the building number. We have to put a state as well as a zip code, right? City, state, and zip code. Then prepared for who? Cyber Assurance Solution prepared this document on behalf of UST. And that's why prepared for Unlimited SkyStack LSC. We have our street name, we have the building or room numbers, we have a city, state, as well as a zip code. And then we also have the document revision history that we have covered already. So do you see? We have initial draft created for internal collaboration. We have incorporated architectural inventory, added methodology, and the final revision for them for us to sign. We have that. And then I just maintained the table of content because, as I said, I just went with what they have. Exception that did not apply to us. What I did was that I just removed, I deleted, but I just maintained what we have on this particular document. And if we keep going, you see, they have the introduction. Yeah, it would tell you what kind of thing you need to put. But let's take a close look as to what we have. We said this document has been developed as the security assessment plan for the initial federal moderate baseline assessment of the training and management system terms, a cloud service software as a service solution developed by Unlimited SkyStack, or UST. This SAP provides the formal plan by which Cyber Assurance Solution, the independent assessor, will evaluate the implementation and effectiveness of security controls documented in the system security plan. Nice, making sense, right? For terms, the assessment will be conducted in accordance with federal guidance, including the NIST 853 revision 5 and other applicable requirements. This SAP should not be proceed until UST has provided a finalized and signed SSP. Do you see? That's why the introduction, because again, when we are sending all of this, make sure, okay, everything looks good before we can even start, which serve as a foundation of the assessment effort, because your SSP is a moment of truth. Be able to see your SSP, that will give us a good idea, holistic idea about your system, which really understand your system better, right? As required by FedRAMP, the independent assessor will adhere to all standardized testing methods and reporting procedure. Failure to comply with FedRAMP requirement may result in additional testing, delays in assessment completion, or postponement of the authorization decision. This document uses, I'm receiving a call. Right? And then if we go, like this is a 36 pages document. Who should use this document? Do you see? I also tailor it again. This SAP is intended to be completed by the Cyber Assurance Solution, a designated independent assessment company in collaboration with UST, the cloud service provider, for the training of their system terms. It's designed to support the FedRAMP initial security assessment of terms by outlining the scope, testing methodology, rules, responsibility, and overall assessment. And again, this is just something that will be made available to our students. And if we go through the background, what do we have on the background? You see, it gives us an explanation, as to what this entails. And then we'll go to the purpose of this document. Do you see the SAP has been developed by Cyber Assurance Solution and is for an initial assessment? You see, we have to specify what kind of assessment we'll be doing. And you also have a section that, again, we still have to document, right? UST for their PAM system. It defines the objective and scope of the assessment and align how the assessment will be conducted in accordance with FedRAMP model baseline requirements. It establishes the methodology, responsibilities, and criteria to evaluate the effectiveness of the security controls implemented by UST as documented on their SSP, right? And this SAP ensures that all assessment activities are performed in a consistent, repeatable, and objective manner, enabling the AO to make risk-based authorization decisions with confidence. And now 2.2 talk about what kind of laws applies to this system. And that's why we've put this. We said that in Appendix L of the SSP, UST has documented the applicable laws, la, 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 la. So we've already given our SSP to them, right? So they will take it and they are the one, that's why I said this is their document. Based on what we have on our SSP, they will use it to populate their document, their SAP. Okay, and that's why they are telling you that UST already have these applicable laws documented on Appendix L of their SSP, but still they still went ahead by putting this, by saying this include but not limited to exactly what we have on SSP. And then we'll come to the scope. It says that, do you see? We have the table there, assessment area to be determined, and then cloud service provider, UST, of course, and then training and management system. And if you look at this part here, you would tell you, is it an initial assessment, significant change, annual, as you see, initial assessment, annual assessment, or significant change. And because this is a new system, then we are going through an initial assessment. And that's why we say that this plan is for an initial assessment of the training and management system terms, a module-based system. 100% of the federal security controls in this system baseline will be addressed. Again, we literally documented the kind of assessment that needs to be performed. And then we will go to the location of a component. We have the physical location of this component. You see, we have documented everything. For example, we talk of the AWS Gov Cloud. Remember again, this document is being produced by the independent assessor, and they are just copying from our SSP because we already have an SSP documented with everything. That's why the later emphasis that if the SSP has not been finalized, the assessment cannot even start the assessment. So any information that we have here is just a replica of our SSP that we have provided to them. They have taken it, they've read it, and then they were able to populate this. And that's why before they could even come to assess the system, we need to also agree, go through this document, confirm, and then sign before they can even come and assess it. That's why you see, so it's not like a magician. It's not like they're going to guess, come out with like random numbers or whatever. No, this is just a replica, of our SSP, okay? And that's why you have the AWS Gov Cloud, it's being located in Oregon region, United States. And then we have the description of the component. For example, we said hosting environment for all production, terms components, including web server, application API, databases, file storages. Components are managed with AWS Virtual Private Clouds, VPC, under FedRAMP authorized services, right? Then we also have our headquarters, where we also have a data center. Then we also put the location of that data center. Here we said USC corporate facility, location of development team, compliance analyst, security documentation, and all those things, right? Then if you can hear, they talk about IP address slated for testing. Yes, are we going to be testing? We have it there. The IP addresses and system components to be assessed during the initial assessment are documented in Appendix M of the SSP, right? So do you see? It tells you it's documented at Appendix D. So we'll go to our SSP. We just need to take it and we have to document it. And it said this appendix contains the complete inventory of an in-scope system components, including, they've listed all of those. And then if we go to, I'm doing this side by side. That way you all can see that I took this document and I tailor it based on our need. Likewise, it doesn't matter. You guys can have a new information system. You can also work to tailor that particular doc, okay? And then this role testing exclusion, no rules were excluded from testing through the initial assessment of the training and management system terms. All user roles within the system authorization boundary, including administrative, instrumental, instructional, and student access levels will be accessed to verify access, restriction, and enforcement of list privileges. And that's why we will come to this table, none, and we said no, all rules are in scope for the assessment, so we don't have any out of scope. And then talking about rules for significant changes, the security and there is no significant change because we cannot even be talking about significant change since this is a new system. Had it been, we are going for like a second assessment or third assessment or something happened after the initial assessment, then we can start talking about initial change, right? And then for assumption, you see, this is something that, again, a student will take some time to read it. I can't really go over it. It's long, but we have a couple of assumptions. For example, the following assumption were agreed upon between Unlimited Sky State and the Cyber Assurance Solution when developing this system security plan. First, that the SAP is based on this particular system version 1.0 dated, Do you see? So again, we have to document, they have to document everything. Before we can say yes, let them come and assess a security posture. Know that everything is well documented explicitly, okay? Scan will be provided in both machine readable and human readable form. FedRAMP system resources, including required documentation and staff with knowledge of the system architecture, security controls, operations, will be available to the assessor throughout the duration of the assessment. Yes, even as I said, like as a manager, when they are coming, they have to interview you. And that's why it's important for you to even know your controls, right? I lay emphasis on the implementation statement because if you don't know how those controls are implemented, when they are coming and they ask you a question, how are you able to tell? You get a point. Yep. So same principle applies here. UST will permit AI to connect to the testing. So do you see we have all of those? And then if we go to methodology, the methodology session, do you see what kind of testing, control testing that we're going to be doing or they're going to be doing for our system? It says that they will perform assessment of the FedRAMP system security control using methodology described in the NIST 853A, incorporating the FedRAMP process and controls and any additional methods needed to evaluate the unique system boundary. They will use alternative. So they definitely document how that is going to be carried out. And then if you go to the gathering, it's talk of that they will gather evidence through the following: request USC to prepare all federal required documents, okay, confirm and evaluate all control mark alternative, So again, everything has been documented. Sampling, they will tell you that they will not use sampling when performing vulnerability scanning for this initial assessment. We know what sampling is, right? You can just randomly get sample to test, but they are telling us that when it comes to vulnerability scanning, they will not do any sampling. So they have to do, we see what they're going to do actually. It says that they will not use sampling when testing the following controls. For example, they're going to test all the controls: AC account management, CM configuration, and PC access agreement. And then they say sampling note, vulnerability scanning 100% of the component in the terms authorized boundary as documented in Appendix M on their SSP and will be tested using authenticated scans, right? And that's why they tell us that if they are not using it, they've provided a kind of method or type of test that they're going to do for perform or carry out for this system. And then we'll go to the pen tests. You see, the pen tests and methodologies included on Appendix C. This includes the scope, test plan. Again, we have all of those. Security assessment team. Remember initially we said that those that are going to be working for this system, they also have to specify everything. security control assessor, junior assessor, you know, you see assessment rule validated by our independent assessor. Yes, yes, yes. Do you see? This doesn't really apply to us. And then also point of contacts. Now is our point of contact, the USC point of contact, because we also need to have those people that, remember, as we explained earlier, that will be involved in the assessment, and they have to be involved in like the duration of the assessment. And that's why it says that UST POC are founded in table 6.2. This is it, unlimited SkyTech LSC point of contact. Okay. And the cyber assurance solution has internal processes to initiate contact with the USC during testing and coordinate with the appropriate teams, including on-call personnel and access to the organization operations center. For example, we have Eunice Abora, Information System Security Officer, ISO / the project lead. We have Sarah Kim, that's the system administrator / on-call operation contact. And then we have Gemma Harris, that's a security compliance analyst / documentation liaison. Okay. So do you guys see, this is a detailed document, and then testing performed using automated tools listed. They have to document all the different kind of testing and tools that they're going to be using. And do you even see the version? So it's not just a matter of them coming that, oh, we're going to be using the particular tool. They have to tell us what version they're going to be using. They don't want to go and take a version that is outdated, it's obsolete, to come and be testing our system. You understand? And that's why they also have to do it. And then it tells the purpose of that particular tool that you're using. It's not just a matter of you just saying, we need to understand what that tool will be doing. And that's why they also have to document this. And then testing performed using manual method. Are there any manual method that they're going to be doing? Yes. So you also have the different testing and the description of what they're going to be doing. And then schedule. Do you see? The security assessment schedule will be found on that visit. Outline the expected time for each measure activities associated with the initial security assessment. That's why you have start date and the finish date. For example, if they say meeting to review the SAP, the first date we will start on April 6th, and of course the finish date is still April 6th. And then update the finalized SAP is start on this day, and they will expect it to be finished by the 8th, right? And again, everything that we're going to be doing, we need to have a start date and a finish date. Rule of engagement, we talk so much about rule of engagement. Let's see what it entails, right? We said the rules of engagement establish the boundaries, expectations, and communication protocols for the security assessment of the TAM system. This document, once signed by both Cyber Assurance Solution LLC, okay, independent assessor, and UST, that's the cloud provider, will serve as an official rule of engagement for this engagement. It defines what can be tested, authorized target, how will it be tested, approved, when will it be tested, who will perform the test, and others. And then who read it here, it literally tells us what they're going to be doing. Disclosure, of course, disclose everything again. Do you see? All testing activity will be conducted in accordance with the terms and conditions outlined in the security assessment plan, and the detailed provisions set forth in the penetration testing rule of engagement, Appendix C. Once the SAP is signed by both UST and the Cyber Assurance Solution, this then become binding. Both parties agreed, of course, once you do it, and then we come to security testing may include, we document all of those. Security testing will not include, everything that is in scope and out of scope, we have to document it. Okay? And then at the end of testing, what is going to happen? So again, this is just something that you can take this document and then see how you can tailor it. I'm only doing so because we have like an actual system that our students are working on. And then, of course, this is something that they're going to take and they're going to play with it. And then, have like a live session in class, right? And after that, of course, you have the signature. Do you see acceptable signature or acceptance signature? We have the independent assessor as well. And then IA representative. I'm supposed to put the CSP, cloud provider, because it's our company. Okay. And then we'll have the different appendix, USC terms security control. So the appendix literally covers a lot. But this gives us an overview of what that system, that document is all about. So again, as I said, if you're working for organization where you guys will be going as an independent assessor to assess their security posture, that's one important document that we need, right? Remember, this again, we are talking about FISMA, FedRAMP, and the NIST standards, right? It's different from other frameworks. You can't go for, let me say, ISO, and you are talking about SAP. They might have their own document, they might also have a name of it, but again, so we are going based on the framework that we are covering as of now. Okay. So this brings us to the end of this session. I will also load the next session on SAR Security Assessment Report, because after this rule of engagement, they've accepted, they've come, they've conducted their assessment. So what happened after that, right? And that way we'll start talking of security assessment report. So stay tuned as we do this, and then I'm also going to pass it out here. I'll be creating a new playlist on updating a new playlist on high trust HIPAA. Unfortunately, I wanted to do one for GDPR and the ISO, but that is going to be a fully paid program. And by the way, we are currently in communication with their team to know they are big on copyright, right? We bought some standards. We can't even share it with our students as of now. We want to know what we can share with our students, what we can share with our students, right? And then also if it means that the student will need to buy them, so that's fine. But that takes a lot that we cannot really put it out there. And also for third-party vendor rates, that training is also not going to be free. We are currently working on it. We bought a lot of documents also from the certification body AICPA. So with that, we are also preparing a detailed document that you can work both ways. You can also work for an organization where you guys can go to assess organization security posture to come out with a SOC 2 report, or you can also work in-house to lead that process to make sure you guys maintain the certification. So that is a detailed program that, again, is going to be on our website on demand, and you guys stay tuned. We'll be launching that shortly. As I said, it's not going to be free on YouTube. We might do one or two, but not like a complete course as we have done on RMF, okay? So I'll see you people in the next video. Bye.